with a free Iran.
کنفرانس مقاومت و قیام مردم ایران برای جمهوری دموکراتیک با حضور خانم مریم رجوی رئیس جمهور برگزیده مقاومت و شرکت نماینده کنگره آمریکا رندی سناتور هورکان عضو سنای ایرلند و هیگینز وزیر و نایب رئیس سابق پارلمان اروپا از ایرلند.
خانم مریم رجوی: هفته آینده سالروز شروع قیام سراسری ایران است. قیامی که در آن جهان شاهد خواست قاطع مردم و مقاومت ایران برای پایان دادن به این رژیم وحشی و برپایی ایران آزاد و جمهوری دموکراتیک بود.
برای سالیان سیاست مماشات به بقای رژیم کمک کرده است. اما تلاش مردم ایران برای آزادی و دموکراسی تا سرنگونی این رژیم ادامه خواهد یافت.
جنایات رژیم تلاش مردم ایران برای نیل به آزادی را متوقف نخواهد کرد، بلکه مردم و مقاومت ایران را مصمم‌تر می‌کند که بهای یک ایران آزاد، دموکراتیک و متکی به رأی مردم را بپردازند.
Congressman Weber, Senator Hورکان, and dear friends of the Iranian resistance, Mr. Higgins, welcome to the home of the Iranian resistance. It's a pleasure to have you with us here today. Our movement takes immense pride in the enduring friendship we share with individuals like yourselves who have always stood with the Iranian people in their pursuit of justice and their tireless struggle against the oppressive religious dictatorship ruling Iran. Your support during these challenging times is deeply appreciated by the Iranian people. The Iranian resistance and the MEK have the experience of over half a century of fighting for freedom against two dictatorships of the Shah and the clerical regime. The good news is that the prospect for overthrowing the regime and establishing a free and democratic republic in Iran shines brighter today than ever before. We are getting close to September 16. That was the beginning day of the nationwide uprising in Iran. The world witnessed the demand of the Iranian people, an end to this brutal regime and the establishment of a free and democratic republic where the power ultimately resides with the people of Iran. Despite a massive and brutal crackdown by the regime to silence any dissent, the Iranian people's determination for regime change remains unbroken. The regime arrested over 30,000 individuals and tragically murdered more than 750 protesters, mainly young men and women in the streets. In recent weeks, the regime has intensified its suppression, including a new wave of mass arrests. Just last week, Javad Ruhi, a protester who had been under severe torture in prison over the past several months, lost his life in suspicious circumstances. Here is the picture of Jawad Ruhi. The killing of the protesters under torture while in prison or after they have been released is routine. But the regime resorts to these killings in fear of more uprisings and the prospects of its downfall. Despite brutal suppression, the regime cannot eliminate the causes of the uprising because the roots of what sparked the nationwide uprising persist. Economic and social crises, along with crippling poverty, continue to worsen. The regime has no solution for an explosive society that seeks freedom. In the face of the culture of resistance and perseverance of the Iranian people and resistance, the regime tries to delay its downfall by intensifying suppression. The resistance network inside Iran continues to expand with an increasing number of young women and men joining the ranks of the MEK network and resistance units. For years, the regime deliberately avoided mentioning the MEK and NCRI, attempting to make believe its big lie that there is no viable alternative and that the democratic opposition had no support within the country. But the presence and activities of the resistance units and the resistance's network have reached such a level that the regime was forced to change its position on this matter. Today, regime officials openly acknowledge their concern about the decisive role of the MEK resistance units in the uprising and about the growing number of youth supporting our goals. On July 12, 2023, Ghalibaf, the current speaker of the regime's parliament, summing up the uprising, said, MEK had the biggest role in organizing and carrying out these protests. In recent weeks, the state-controlled media have published many articles, TV and radio reports, as well as statements by regime officials, all aimed at countering the growing support for the MEK within Iran. Furthermore, the regime is increasingly alarmed by the international recognition of the NCRI as a democratic and viable alternative to the current regime by Western parliaments. Therefore, the regime has intensified its demonization campaign against the NCRI and MEK, also resorting to terrorism, hostage-taking, and other intimidating means to compel other countries to restrict the legitimate activities of the Iranian opposition. The regime's focus on MEK members in Ashraf Tiri demonstrates its fear of their impactful role. But let it be clear, nothing can prevent the MEK and the residents of Ashraf from pursuing their goal to free Iran. For years, the policy of appeasement has contributed to the regime's survival. A new policy is long overdue. The Iranian people's quest for freedom and democracy will continue until the overthrow of this brutal regime. The regime's atrocities will not deter our people in their quest for freedom, but will only make them and the resistance even more determined to pay the price for a free and democratic Iran. I thank you again for your invaluable support in these trying times. Thank you very much.
رندی نماینده کنگره آمریکا، عضو کمیته انرژی و بازرگانی و عضو گروه پارلمانی حقوق بشر و دموکراسی در ایران. من از سرکوب وحشیانه مردم ایران توسط این رژیم دیوانه بسیار منزجر هستم. مردم ایران به مدت طولانی از یک رژیم ظالم رنج برده و حقوق اولیه انسانی آنها پایمال شده است.
این انقلاب به دنبال پایان دادن به هر نوع دیکتاتوری است. پایان دادن به دیکتاتوری آخوندها به معنی راه باز کردن برای دیکتاتوری شاه نیست.
مردم ایران به دنبال مسیر آزادی و خلاصی از هر نوع دیکتاتوری هستند. به همین خاطر شعار می‌دهند مرگ بر ستمگر، چه شاه و چه رهبر.
اپوزیسیون ایران از رهبری خانم مریم رجوی و تلاش‌های خستگی ناپذیر شورای ملی مقاومت در تلاش برای ایجاد یک حکومت دموکراتیک و فراگیر برخوردار بوده است.
من و دوستانم از قطعنامه‌ای در کنگره آمریکا حمایت کرده ایم که از طرح 10 ماده‌ای خانم رجوی برای آینده ایران حمایت می‌کند و دیکتاتوری سلطنتی و دیکتاتوری مذهبی را رد می‌کند.
Greetings, Madam Rajvi, friends, families, and freedom-loving Iranians. I'm honored to be with you here in Paris, all the way from the great state of Texas, pardon me, where I am privileged to represent the people, as she said, of the 14th Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives. As you are no doubt aware, in America, and generally in Texas particularly, we are blessed with many members of the Iranian diaspora. I am proud to stand here today with other statesmen from the free world to reinforce our belief in the rights of the Iranian people and their struggle to establish a democratic, secular, and yes, non-nuclear Republic of Iran. As a staunch advocate for freedom, democracy, and human rights around the world, I am particularly humbled by the opportunity to join you all here in a quest for a free Iran. For far too long, the people of Iran have endured the oppressive rule of a regime that has disregarded their basic human rights and stifled their aspirations for freedom and democracy. Undaunted, the Iranian people have shown time and time again that they yearn for a brighter future, a future where they can enjoy the fundamental rights and freedoms that all individuals deserve. Simply put, I am disgusted by this paranoid regime's brutal repression of its own freedom-loving citizens. Since when did freedom-loving become a crime? But these tyrants should be paranoid. They should be paranoid. They frantically cling to power at any cost and under the guise of some sanctimonious religious purity. By crushing the free will of secular citizens and persecuted religious minorities and even conscientious but independent-minded Muslims. Their craven motivations reveal these false prophets for what and who they truly are. Mired in their own hypocritical sinfulness, a just God will surely mete out their ultimate fate. But this revolution, this time, is focused on ending any kind of dictatorship in Iran. To discard the mullahs is not to restore the monarchs. No, yet there is another path as your freedom fighters' famous slogan demands. Death to the dictator, be it the Shah or the leader. By overthrowing the Shah's dictatorship with all of its military might, the people of Iran showed their dedication and willingness to sacrifice. Indeed, the 1979 revolution was rooted in the desire for freedom, democracy, and human rights. But the clerics led by the Ayatollah Khomeini stole the revolution, consolidated power within the first year, eliminated any voices of dissent, repressed the forces of freedom, and waged war on the Iranian people. Still, 44 years later, the desire of the Iranian people for the original goals of the 1979 revolution are alive and even deeper. The struggle for a free Iran is clearly not a recent development. It has been a long and arduous journey marked by countless sacrifices. Brave men and women from all walks of life have taken to the streets, advocating for their rights and demanding change. Their courage in the face of brutality is a testament to the unwavering spirit of the Iranian people. I applaud all those who are demanding an end to the totalitarian regime and seeking a form of governance that derives its legitimacy from the people, not from an unelected single repressive party. During the exile, the Iranian opposition has enjoyed the leadership of one Madam Meriem Rejvi and the tireless efforts of the National Council of Resistance of Iran in their quest to establish a democratic and inclusive government in Iran. They have put forward a 10-point plan for the future of Iran. The plan calls for the universal right to vote, for free elections, and a market economy. And the plan advocates gender, religious, and ethnic equality, and the protection of minority rights with a foreign policy based on peaceful coexistence. And a non-nuclear Iran. These principles are the foundation upon which a free Iran can be built. You may have heard that America's government is deeply divided along partisan lines. And in many respects, that is true. But on the issue of a free Iran, the United States Congress is incredibly united. With strong bipartisan support, my colleagues and I have put forward a congressional resolution in support of that 10-point plan. The resolution that we offer highlights that the people of Iran have, quote, rejected monarchic dictatorship and are opposing religious tyranny, end quote. The United States Congress, quote, recognizes the right to self-determination for the Iranian people struggling to establish a democratic, secular, and non-nuclear Republic of Iran, end quote. We have introduced a number of bills to support the safety and security and the rights of the Iranian people. We are fighting for each and every freedom-loving Iranian. In the same spirit, I call on my counterparts in the world's democratic parliaments and legislatures to join us in supporting the Iranian people in their struggle for freedom. The quest for a free Iran is not just an Iranian issue. It is a global issue that affects us all. As we gather here today, let us reaffirm our commitment to standing with the Iranian people in their fight for freedom, democracy, and human rights. Together, we can help pave the way for a brighter future for Iran and its people. In the United States of America, one of our most cherished icons is the Statue of Liberty in New York's harbor. Engraved at the base of that monument is Emma Lazarus's memorable poem, The New Colossus. It reads, in part, quote, a mighty woman with a torch whose flame is the imprisoned lightning and her name, Mother of Exiles, end quote. Madam Rajabi, as a member of Too Many Exiles, I applaud your fearless leadership through these turbulent times. And in the spirit of Emma Lazarus, let me close with this thought. We stand with freedom-loving Iranians tired, from the statue, of tyranny and yearning for a breathe free, end quote. Thank you so much for inviting me here. When we meet again, let's pray with a free Iran.